Scrambling is something that most people do without the intention of using a rope. However, it does make sense on longer, more committing routes or harder routes to take a rope and equipment needed to pitch the crux section. Alternatively, it allows you to retreat should the weather change. So we're going to have a look at this little pitch behind us to demonstrate one way of looking after yourself and safeguarding the steepest part on a route. We're at the bottom of our pitch. First of all, we've got to decide where are we going to actually start climbing from. This makes a natural break here on this big ledge. Then we have to decide, do we need to attach our belayer to the mountain? And a lot of places that will make sense if you're on an exposed ledge. Here we just have a thread, and Kirk's just going to simply clove hitch himself into the carabiner on the sling there and make sure he's nice and snug to that anchor. And then he's going to pop me on bailey using his normal bailey plate. And we're now ready for me to start climbing. I'm going to climb up this pitch, placing runners where I think I most need them, just below the hardest little steps. The nature of scrambles takes you through terrain that has lots of spikes, threads and boulders like this. And I've come across what we call a thread here where two rocks are touching each other and there's a gap round the back. So I'm going to thread a sling through there, which is why I have quite a few slings here. The first thing is I need to check it out, just make sure it's solid, and both of these are part of the mountain. This is obviously embedded into the ground here, and if I start progressively testing that, feeling for vibration, I can tell that that's pretty solid. The one above is completely keyed in, so I've got an 8-foot sling here, pop the carabiner on it and throw it through hopefully. And just check that you've actually got rock against rock in a thread rather than moss or grass stuck in between the gap there. So that's ready to go. I can clip in my rope. May as well do up that screw gate. Now you can see the good thing about this is it's also multi-directional. I can pull this in any direction and it'll stay where it is. That's good to go. This section looks like the obvious crux. The holes are quite slopey, so what I'd like to do is place a runner here. There isn't any obvious spikes or threads here, so I'm going to have to place a wire. Now obviously on scrambling terrain there's lots of ledges, so for me to get any protection from this I want to place it as high as possible. I can see a crack up here, so I'll probably get something in there. Couple of tugs on it to seat it so it doesn't lift out as I climb past. Putting a long extender on it so that it also doesn't lift out, and I've got the back bar of the rope carabiner pointing in the direction I'm travelling. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so I've climbed up quite a easy section above my last runner and I'm on a nice ledge now. It's getting steeper again above, so this would be a good place to put another bit of protection. Heading up to the left, back bar heading on the left side like that. Looks pretty easy from here. I think we could probably get rid of the rope, so I'm going to belay here. I'll have a nice big ledge and lots of obvious big blocks and boulders around. That one looks pretty obvious to me to check out, so I'll go and have a look at that. So this is the block that I was looking at. I can see it's got a really nice undercut back edge to it, which means I could put the rope over it potentially. I just want to check out it's going to stay where it is. Certainly large enough to weigh several tons, and it does seem well keyed in at the bottom, but nevertheless, big rocks still move, so I need to just do a progressive check. I've got my hand on it so I can feel any vibration, and there's absolutely nothing there. I'm going to build up to a mule kick. Definitely doesn't seem to be moving, so this looks like it will be fine. So what I'm going to do is use the rope around it. That way it's quite easy to minimise gear, but there'll be a lot of friction here, so I've pulled up quite a bit of rope so that I can wrap it around. And what I want to do is make sure that it's as low as it will go down there, and hopefully I've got the rope just about right. I might just have to do some minor adjustments. I've got the rope around my anchor now. What I need to do is finish this off by tying myself into the anchor, but I also need to consider the line between the anchor, myself, and any potential load. I want the anchor, the belayer and the climber in a straight line. So where I am at the moment is fine. I do have a little bit of leeway since I've got such a big ledge and a big anchor. I can move back and forward to fine tune that. The other thing to consider is the tension between me and the anchor. That needs to be really tight, and especially because I've got a lot of rope in this which will stretch under load. I need to take all that stretch out the rope when I tie into it. So to do that, I'm actually going to move back towards the anchor first. I'm going to pop in a screw gate onto the tie-in loop, tie a clove hitch onto that rope. Do that up and close my clove hitch. Now as I move forward, I take all the tension, or take all the slack out of that rope. I'm tied off to the anchor now. I can let my belayer Kirk know I'm safe. Kirk! Safe! Okay, he's taking me off belay now. I need to take in the extra rope that's still at the bottom of the climb, so taking in! What I'm doing now is listening for Kirk to shout that the rope has gone tight to him. I should hear him shout, "That's me." There he is. I can now put him on belay. So belay device goes onto the knot loop. Orientate the belay device for an upward pull or a load from the bottom. That looks just about ready to go. Do my checks. That's done up. That's done up. Climb when you're ready, Kirk! Climbing! Up he comes. So you can also see that by sitting on the edge here, I can see as much of the route as possible. I can see pretty much most of the climb. I'm kind of anticipating now that he'll get to my first runner and stop, and then I'll have to keep the rope snug on him with the belay plate locked off. There he is, he stopped at the first. Comes again. So Kirk will be with me in a couple of minutes, and we'll probably pack away the rope and carry on up the ridge. It's not far now and it all looks quite easy.